Well, we were going to talk about the call on Monday.
We were going to talk about the call on Monday, but I don't think we have enough time to do the whole call on Monday, so
Let's
tell us what we need to know.
okay. So, how many of you participated in the KWRI open house call on Monday?
It's recorded.
Great.
You can go back and watch it anytime.
It's if you go to command, I think it's under resources.
Yeah.
You can get all of the forms, the summary of it, and you can watch the whole program again, which I plan on doing a couple of times. It had some pretty incredible information in there. Here's one of my big takeaways from it, and Jason Abrams commented a couple of times. NAR settled, and has the biggest part of the settlement was that all buyers have to sign a buyer's disclosure, exclusive buyer-broker agreement before first substantive contact. Which question is, what is that? Basically, when you talk to a buyer and show them a property, doesn't matter whether it's in person or virtually, if you're doing a walkthrough, FaceTime, walking through a property, you still need to have that document signed beforehand. So get used to it, start doing it now. Now, what they're saying is a lot of this is dependent on the individual states. We're waiting. Originally, Florida was supposed to come up with all the new documents end of May. I'm now hearing it's like the second week in June, which guess what? We're in the second week of June and still haven't seen any. As soon as those documents come out, we will be teaching them on a regular basis in the offices. But point that I made yesterday in Fort Lauderdale, make again to you today. Vicki, congratulations on doing your first buyer-broker agreement. Wasn't tough, was it?
No, the most important thing is remember that you have to provide value to them, and when you explain all of those steps that you're going to do for them, and you just walk them through that, and then you just put it there and you explain all of it as well. You're not just saying, here, sign this, and then saying, if you don't, my broker, has to enforce it, we have to sign this. You just put it in front of them and explain it, and then they sign it. Here's your
Well, kind of sounds like a listing agreement. Would you put a listing agreement in front of somebody and go, here, sign it? No, of course, you're explaining everything that's in there and what it all means.
There are people out there in the real estate community that do, yes.
I'll docu-sign it to you. Just sign it. It's okay. You don't have to read it. Yeah, it's about knowing your value proposition. But here's my points, guys. As of August 17th, this is when the laws go into effect, when it changes that you have to be doing it. The sooner you start doing it, the better you're going to be, because most of the other brokerages out there are not doing it yet. Most of the other brokerages are not talking about it the way that we are.
Yeah.
You have to start having these conversations. And you know what? If you screw it up, oh well. You learned something from it, and you get to do the next one better, and the one after that even better, and the one after that even better, until you become the best buyer's rep there is. This is knowing your value proposition. Now, the other part of this that we had a conversation yesterday is the fact that the number that you put in your buyer representation agreement, just pick a number. If you fill it out and you don't think you have much of a value proposition, so you're going to say, I get 2% commission. And you find out that the buyer is offering, the seller is offering 3% concession for the buyer's agent, you get paid 2%. You get paid what is in your buyer-broker agreement. You cannot get anything from anybody in addition to that. So it's kind of been rare for a long time now, but you would have listing agents offering a 5% or $5,000 bonus if a contract is, that's gone. It's what's in your document. It cannot be open-ended, has to be a specific number. These are some of the major changes going on. And we'll keep talking about this more and more. All of it is covered in that open house video that was done. Watch it. There's
Yeah.
some great information in there.
So, I love the NAR settlement. I have given myself a raise. We just went under contract. I negotiated, $50,000 for, seller credit. So the seller's literally giving my client $50,000 for closing. Yes, it was approved by Lynn. I was also able, and this is because I had a buyer's agreement. I was able to get 3% for myself, and then I got myself a bonus from the seller, as long as we close on time. I'm getting paid more now than ever before. And then yesterday, because Lynn and I are working on a system, and I think Lynn is very, very valuable, and she really makes it easy for me to do my buyer's consultation. And so I've gotten, I want to say about 6 buyers agreements signed, all at 3%. And yesterday, we were sitting down and we got a 1.5 million buyer agreement where he got pre-approved and he's ready to go.
Yep.
So,
And, yeah. And guys, I'm looking at it the same way. You're reading the media reports out there that, buyers agents are going by the wayside and they're not going to be making any money because
There's
buyers
agents out
will
there who are saying
negotiate
the
you
same
down to
thing.
nothing. And you know what? If you have a value proposition, you know what it is, you will make more money now than you did before. Because before, it was that sucky listing agent who was determining what your income level was.
Yeah.
Now you're determining what your income level is. You just have to be worth it. And yes, all of those agreements signed at 3% are great. And if you have a seller who's offering a 2.5%, you know what? If you want to really make an impression with your buyer, you go, you know what, I'll take that. I'm not going to force the 0.5% to make it up. You can negotiate down, you can't negotiate up.
So, my thing is, and this is the way I'm looking at it, I could be wrong. My buyer agreed that my professional fee should be 3%. So if the seller's paying 2.5%, when I am submitting the contract, I am letting them know, I have a buyer's agreement, it's 3%. It's something that my buyer and I agreed to, and I convinced them or persuade
Yes.
them to give me my 3%. So to me, that's my professional fee.
And
Just
that is
like my
exactly the way
Yeah.
that Jeff Glover is teaching people
Yes.
how to do it as well, because you shouldn't always discount your rate. And in some circumstances, like Richard is saying, if you believe that there's going to be a whole lot more on the other side in terms of referrals and things like that, and you think, hey, you know what? This is going to be a long-term client that's going to give me a lot of business, I may want to do that. It's up to you. It is your business.
But you're right. The additional, the difference, you write into additional terms.
Oh, I read
So
the entire thing.
buyer's offer is contingent upon seller paying 3% commission to buyer's broker.
Yes, and the buyer has to
And the
say to
buyer.
write that.
The buyer offer is, yes.
Correct.
It's an agreement now between the buyer and the seller.
Correct.
In the past, it was an agreement between brokers as to what those commissions were.
Yep.
So that's the big change, guys.
And we've got,
This is,
we're going to be continuing to talk about it all the way through. One thing that I want to add as we finish this up, if you have not considered going to Mega Camp in Austin, it is literally going to be 2 days before the new rules go into effect for NAR. So just saying, might be a good conversation for that week. That's going to be in Austin. I believe it's the 13th through the 15th. And tickets are on sale on megacamp.kw.com.
yeah. Keep this top of mind, guys. This is,
Yeah.
and it's funny, I was telling Scott, Gail and I were driving from our house to the airport as we were listening to this and kept cutting out and cutting out. And one of the things he was talking about was,
We're all awake now.
okay, roosters, time to wake up.
Yeah.
This is the settlement, and he's talking about the appeals. And earlier that day, I'm reading that 2 new appeals have been filed against this suit.
Yep.
What does it mean?
We don't know.
have no idea, but it doesn't matter. The NAR settlement is outside the courts. This is NAR changing its policies, which works its way down through all of the MLSs.
That are owned by
So
the.
we are going to be making these changes, whether appeals go on for a couple years or not.
Yep.
It's going to happen.
Yep.
So we will keep bringing this to you guys as often as we can. Please pay attention to it. And one last thing before I go. How many of you have gone through and taken the ABR designation? It's disappointing, guys. This is now free. NAR has made the ABR, accredited buyer representation. That's a designation. You can do it online, and it is free. If you want to know what your value proposition is when you're presenting this to a buyer, that's where you're going to get that information from.
Go online to nar.realtor, log in, choose classes, and you can register for it in a matter of 2 minutes.
You got it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Scott.
Awesome.